Between you and me, don't tell anyone I said this. I'll deny it if you do. If you're gonna get into a relationship with someone or, like, put your little heart on the line and then potentially get hurt, let it be someone really hot. Because at least at the end of it, you don't have to, like, shamefully, like, yeah, that's who broke my heart. At least, at the very least, at the end of it, you can be like, bagged it.
If you're hot, dating is going to be way easier. If you've got a good looking face, then women are going to be way more open to you. If you're tall, even better. I've muted it because this clip has copyrighted music, but she's saying she's not into short guys. Look how tall her boyfriend is. Being hot and tall makes a huge difference in your dating success, but I rarely talk about it on this channel. Why? It's because I'm biased. I am biased towards things that are inside your control. I make videos about confidence, masculinity, game, values, conflict resolution. These are all things that will improve your success with women, but you have control over them. You don't have control over your height, and worldwide, only 1 in 10 men is over 6 foot. They're a rare minority, and I don't see the point in making lots of videos saying, oh, you're not 6 foot tall, dating's gonna be really hard for you. That sucks. I focus on what you have control over, but that makes my content very, very biased and can give men a distorted sense of the dating market. In this video, I'm going to try and correct that bias, and I'm gonna talk about 5 things that hugely influence your success in the dating market, but I don't really talk about much because I find them too depressing. So yeah, this video is probably gonna bum you out. Watch it at your own discretion. Number 1 is obviously looks.
It's one thing I can't believe, and that's how have the nerve to slide in your DMs, but then have the audacity to be ugly as fuck. Like, make it make sense, baby. At this point, it's getting a little disrespectful.
How you look colors how women perceive you. If you're sliding into her DMs and you're really hot, then that's very welcome. But if you're taking that same action and you're ugly, she would consider it disrespectful. There's not really much else to say. The dating market is pretty depressing if you're a short, ugly guy. That's not to say you can't mitigate that disadvantage by being socially competent, masculine, wealthy, but to pretend being ugly isn't a factor in your success with women is just not true. It makes a big difference. But I don't know, there's not much else to say about that. That's why I don't focus on it. Looks max, go to the gym, do the best you can with what you have. I also don't tend to focus on number 2 on this list, which is that success with women in relationships is a lot easier if you start young, because that's when you have the easiest access to young women, which is what all men want. And it's not just because they're prettier, it's because they're not bitter about men and life yet, which makes it a lot easier for you to pair bond.
I had a man say to me once that the reason that he likes dating younger women is because they're not so angry. He literally was like, I like younger women because they're still so sweet. Nobody likes an angry woman, right?
There are definitely success stories of men in their 30s who were hopeless with women in their late teens and early 20s, but they worked on themselves. They developed confidence, masculinity, and now at age 30, they're dating 22-year-olds and they're having a great time. But for lots of men, that's absolutely not the case. They're not meeting lots of women in their early 20s because that's not their natural social circle. Guys in their 30s don't ordinarily just come across a lot of 22-year-old women in their daily lives. They mix in different circles. So as you get older, your opportunities to meet those women naturally declines. You know that time in your life when it was perfectly natural to meet lots of young women is when you were the same age. Imagine if you knew then what you know now, how differently your dating life might have turned out. Imagine if you could relive your college years where you're meeting 20 new women a week, but you're supercharged by your current level of knowledge, masculinity, and confidence. You'd be unstoppable. Right now, so many older guys are applying their game to women who've already slept with 20 men, been dumped by 5, they're bitter about life, and somehow it's their job as the man to try and bring back that sense of femininity. Imagine how much easier it would be if they could apply that game to a woman who is young. She's optimistic. She hasn't been burned by life. She's feminine. She's kind. She likes you. She's perfectly primed to pair bond. I don't tend to talk about this much on my channel because, it's not much you have control over. You don't have a time machine. You can't go back to when you're 21. But that's the truth. If you were on top of all of this stuff back when you were young, your chances of happiness in a relationship were so much higher. I met Emily when I was 22 and she was 20. We've been together 15 years, and the love, the pair bonding is intensely strong because we met so young. Which leads into number 3, which is that everything that you are doing, all the skills you are accumulating, accumulating, all the knowledge you're gaining, all the achievements, all the work, all the stuff you're doing to make yourself a high quality man, it is only going to matter if you partner with the right woman. And if you do that, then your life is going to be easy. But if you partner with the wrong woman, then life is going to be hard. I know that there are lots of men who don't understand this because they have a huge mismatch in their approach. They'll happily spend thousands of hours working on themselves, engaged in self-improvement, making themselves the highest quality version of themselves that's possible. But they only meet 5 women a year and go on dates with 2 of them. That is not going to cut it.
I am tired of the men that just don't go for it. They're just so scared. They think that they're gonna get rejected when it's like, bruh, like, just take a freaking chance.
If you choose your eventual wife from a list of 5 candidates, the chances that she was the right one for you and that your relationship is going to be easy and your life is going to be happy, the chances are very, very low because you auditioned very few women. If you go on dates with 10 women as opposed to 5, then you've just doubled your chances of finding the right one. But what if you go on dates with 20 women or 50 women? The more women that you meet, the higher your chances of finding the right one for which your life and relationship will be easy. In my private consultations, I'm often talking to guys who are 20 years into a marriage and they're sweating it out, but it's an uphill battle for them because fundamentally they chose a woman that they're not compatible with. It's difficult. It's hard work. They're doing their end of the bargain. They're putting in the work. They're doing the self-improvement. But because they chose the wrong woman, it's like spending your life constantly pushing a boulder up a hill. From the outset, they have set themselves a fundamentally difficult task.
So I got married at 21. I'm now 39. That means I've been married for 18 years. And both my partner and I agree that if we had to do this over again, he was also 21 when we got married, we would not. So that's what it's like being married young.
This is depressing because this runs in direct contradiction to the previous point that I made, which is that pair bonding is easier if you start young. And that's still true. But if you settle down really quickly before giving yourself time to discover what's actually out there, then there's a big chance that you've settled too early with a woman that's just fundamentally not right for you. There's so many men trying to make it work with the wrong woman because they didn't hold enough auditions. You just want to transport them back to when they were 25 and they're going through that decision of whether or not they should commit to this girl. It's the 3rd woman he's ever dated. And yes, she's better than the previous 2, but still, that's not a big data set. Maybe instead of marrying her, we just cool off, we regroup, we try a few more options before we settle down. Because I promise you, on your end, you can do absolutely everything perfectly. You can be an amazing man, completely high quality, and conduct yourself incredibly inside the relationship, but it's only going to work and deliver you happiness if the woman that you've chosen to be in a relationship with is also doing that same thing. If you settle down with a low quality woman, it doesn't really matter how amazing you are. You're only going to be able to go as fast as she is going. There are many men who have wasted their entire lives trying to bring happiness to a woman who is determined to be unhappy. Imagine if all of that positive energy instead went to a woman who wants to be happy, for whom life is easy, it's simple, it's fun, it's happy. You have got to choose the right woman. Now, number 4 is a tough one because we really don't have control over this. And that's that one of the big reasons why men are finding the dating market so difficult in the West is because of cost of living issues. I don't talk about this much because, like I said, we don't have much control over it, but nonetheless, it's a big factor in shaping the dating market to be what it is. Back in your parents' or grandparents' day, you could support a middle-class lifestyle on one income, but that's no longer the case. You want to stop renting one day, you want to own a house, you want to be able to go on the occasional holiday, go out to dinner a couple of times a week, buy a new phone every now and then. You're going to need a bunch of money, and usually that means a combined income. The man and the woman are going to have to work. The stay-at-home mother is a luxury of the past. This sucks because it's these economic realities that are pushing women deeper and deeper into their masculinity. They're thinking, I need a whole bunch of money to survive. I'm going to need to get a degree. I'm going to need to go to work, and they're thinking about getting married and having children much, much later after they've established themselves in the world as a masculine presence. Economically, what this has caused is a massive reorienting of the female mind away from femininity, away from domesticity, and towards the masculine instincts of money, status, and achievement. It's made women everywhere less feminine and therefore less attractive. It is rare to meet a woman over 30 who is single who has a really likable feminine personality because femininity has not been her focus. Women used to find their value through their connection to children, but no more.
Oh my god, guys, I'm freaking out. What am I gonna do? Just kidding, I already scheduled the appointment.
What you are seeing here is a woman who is completely disconnected from her feminine instincts. I'm not making this a pro-life video, but at the very least, shouldn't getting an abortion be a sad occasion? Wouldn't it be normal for a woman to grieve over having to take this action? If we lived in an economy where inflation was low and cost of living was under control, and men made enough money to easily support a wife and children, then women would relax. They would focus much less on economic insecurity, the stress, the anxiety, and all the masculine thinking that goes along with that, and they could start to embrace their femininity once again. That's how it used to be back when men could support a household on one income.
You're not married, are you?
No,
You're thinking about it?
no, not yet.
No. Well, if you were married, would you do all the washing for your husband?
I would.
Every bit of it.
Every bit of it.
What about the socks?
Yes, the socks.
You wouldn't have any objection?
No,
And do you think a husband should help out at all?
no.
You think a wife should do all the housework?
All the housework, yeah.
Are you married?
I am, yes.
How long?
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Ah, well then now you'll be able to tell us about this business of a husband helping out with the washing. Do you think he should?
No, I don't really think so.
Do you do it all yourself?
I do, yes.
By hand?
Yes.
You don't mind doing the socks?
No, not really.
Do you think anyone should object to this?
No, I don't think so. I do all my own washing at home, yes.
And do you wash all your husband's things?
All my husband things except his socks.
Except his socks?
Socks,
Well,
yes.
no. And why don't you wash his socks?
Well, I think that's a man's job.
Why is that?
Well, it's his own feet, isn't it? I don't think a woman should have to wash his own smelly socks.
You think every wife should do all
I
the
think
washing?
so. My husband is just as good as I am, though. If it was a necessity, he'd do it too.
If women didn't have to worry so much about the masculine side of life, they could focus more on their femininity. And when women are more feminine, they're more attractive, they're more desirable. The dating market would be so much easier for men because there'd be a much larger pool of desirable women to choose from. That's also the theme of number 5 on my list, which on a personal level, I find the most depressing. Though I am confident that many of you men, probably the majority, are going to strongly disagree with me. What I find depressing from a values perspective is that there is a shortcut. I'm talking about religion and I'm talking about traveling overseas. These are absolute shortcuts to relationship happiness, which I do not talk about on my channel. Again, I'm biased. I give a distorted perspective of the dating market based on my personal values. But in this video, I'm trying to be intellectually honest and explain how things look without the lens of my bias. And yes, there are shortcuts that absolutely exist. If you want to hear how they work and what is my personal objection to them, I go into the detail of that in the full-length version of this video, which is available on Patreon. The rest of this video gets a little bit personal and also more practical. So for men who are, a little bit sick of all the philosophical stuff, they're just like, just tell me how to find a girlfriend, you're gonna like this video. So come on over to Patreon. That's where I post the full-length versions of my videos. What you see here on YouTube, these are just the shortened abridged versions. If you want the full-length version, come over to Patreon.